Noah, he, him from Oregon. Noah wants to tell us the creation and laws of logic from the laws of nature. Hello, Noah. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going, gentlemen? How's it going, Matt? And what was your name again?
You just call me AP.
How's it going?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Okay, AP. Cool. Good. So I wanted to discuss not theology, but creation versus evolution. In regards to, I tend to see a double standard with some of the atheists that hold an absolute to the Big Bang and to these things. Now, what I will say is this:
before we get started, and I'll give you the time, but it says here that you were talking about the laws of logic. And now you're saying you want to talk about creation versus evolution. And moreover, you're objecting to atheists who are absolutist about the Big Bang. I don't know about AP, but I'm not one. So why are you calling us?
I'm not one either.
Yeah. Oh, no, okay. I didn't mean to get off topic. Where I was getting at was this. The laws of logic and the laws of nature themselves, to which atheists subscribe that most ascribe to the Big Bang. I'm not saying 100%. And anybody that believes in creation, like for me, example, I believe the creator. But was I there when it happened? No. Were they there when it happened? I mean, there's several gaps even within that theory of that happening.
So this keeps going off the rails. I'm going to start the clock in a second so that you'll get the time. But I want to make sure that time's used well. And so, the first of all, I accept that Big Bang cosmology is the current best explanation for the origin of the universe. It's the explanation that's best supported by evidence. And my position, like anyone holding a scientific position, is tentative and subject to revision as soon as there's evidence to the contrary or when that model needs to be revised. But if you're going to argue for creationism, I don't know how the laws of logic are relevant to this, which showed up in what you wanted to talk about. And I don't want this to get confused. I want you to get your time and make the best case you can. But it seems like you're all over the place before we begin.
Okay, sure. I'll get to the point. All
right, start the clock.
And you said you said you ascribe to the Big Bang. I watched several of your videos. You said people ask you, what happened before? You said, I don't know. That's respectable. Now, the question remains, what created the laws of the universe that govern it?
So that's a false question because there's no demonstration that the things that we're identifying as laws had to be created. Like, for example, matter of fact, what we tend to describe as laws, both in physics, are descriptive, not prescriptive. They're not like they're not like the speed limit. Somebody didn't decide, the speed of light is this. We are just describing the speed of light in a vacuum. And somebody said, gravity had to be this. No, we describe the gravitational constant because these aren't laws in the sense that someone had to create them. So you've already begun with a flawed assumption by saying, who created the laws of nature? And the answer is, why on earth do you think that the laws of nature were created? What's your demonstration that they could have been any other way? And as they are just descriptive and not prescriptive, it's a flawed question from the outset.
Right. I guess what I'm getting at is if I ascribe to that belief, then I have to believe the universe. I would have to say which you believe, right? And it's respectable that I don't know what was there before, but there seems to be the laws of thermodynamics, and there is laws, and I guess maybe it's just hard for me to accept that a universe came about and has these laws of its own.
I don't think you understood what Matt just said. He was basically trying to explain that what you call laws are, things that happen within this universe, and you describe them and call them laws as such because you can describe that there is a a certain pattern or certain behaviors that are not prescribed or created by anything, that's different from laws that are actually made and created and determined to be so. You cannot possibly say that a law that exists in nature was created or decided or made, designed.
Right. Well, and I guess where
Noah, stop for a second. Listen to me. I swear I'm trying to help you.
Sure.
On two separate occasions, you've called in to argue for creationism over evolution. In the midst of that, what you gave the call screener was about the laws of logic being derived from nature, which isn't the case. I mean, it is the case in the sense that they are descriptive. They have nothing to do with the creationism argument. On two separate occasions, both myself and AP have pointed out that your personal incredulity about the laws that govern hydrodynamics or whatever needing to be this way, what we've described in both cases is that these are descriptive, and this is just a matter of fact. This is how things work, and they're not something that could have been created. And on both times, after I finished talking and after AP finished talking, you said, right, and then went on. You cannot, in conversation, say right, as in I understand and I agree with that, when you don't understand or agree with that. So before you come up with whatever you're going to say next, either, I guess, maybe rethink for a second what it is that your point is, because you've agreed with us when both of us were rebutting your point.
Correct. Yeah, I apologize on that behalf if that's how it was taken. I guess I'm misunderstanding you in that regard. It just, for me anyway, I've been studying evolution. I'm in college, the Big Bang cosmology, even Darwin's doubts, even some of the doubts he had. And there seems to be, in these regards, there is things that it doesn't describe for the humans, for human consciousness, for the laws that I mentioned,
Okay.
which you just answered.
Noah.
So,
first of all,
yeah.
Big Bang cosmology isn't relevant to evolution. The theory of evolution by means of natural selection is a study within biology that describes the diversity of life. It has nothing to do with the origin of life, nor does it have anything to do with the origin of the universe. Now, to be fair, I suppose if it has to do with anything, origin of life, abiogenesis would be a necessary component of it, but that's not what the model describes. And for you to suggest that Darwin had doubts, well, of course he did, because he's a scientist, as does anybody else. But we've made incredible progress on understanding the evolutionary model in the last 150, 170 years or so since then.
Agreed.
And what we've also done is found, for example, the fusion in chromosome 2, where telomeres fuse, all of these things that continue to point towards common ancestry. But when you object that it doesn't answer things about consciousness, that's like saying the germ theory of disease doesn't answer questions about how Pluto isn't a planet anymore and is a dwarf planet. You cannot fault the model of evolution for not answering questions that are not part of that model. It's not the job of the model of evolution by natural selection to explain consciousness. And if you try and dismiss evolution because it just doesn't explain consciousness, you have committed the biggest fallacy and the most ridiculous possible reason to reject a scientific model.
Yeah, no. So it would be. So I actually would agree with you. You pointed out something that I just thought of. It's kind of like the God of the gaps argument, where there's a gap and you put something in there. Well, I guess you can say I just did the opposite. I'm saying, well, there's a gap here in this evolution that's not explaining this or not explaining this. So this don't make sense to me.
What does it have to do with whether or not evolution is the best model to explain the diversity of life on Earth? Do you have a better model? Do you know of a better model to explain the diversity of life on Earth? Because I don't. I've never even heard of a model that's comparable.
I don't have a better model. No.
I've never heard of one that's even in the ballpark.
No, I don't have a PhD, and I haven't made obviously a paper to make a better model. to describe.
But have you even heard of one?
I just have went for creation. I guess because of the way I was raised, and I look at creation, and it's so complex. And I guess for me personally, it's hard to accept. I'm here by chance.
So your alternative explanation to you being here by chance is that you're the special creation of a God that doesn't interact with you.
No. I didn't. I have a theology. I just didn't bring it up. I just was pointing out that creation for me, even with Isaac Newton and some of the greatest scientists were believers, but not just that, but just for me personally, explains it best for me.
What is your model of creation, and how does it explain diversity of life better than the theory of evolution by means of natural selection?
Well, I certainly would say just the odds of us coming from, I believe a soup, came from a soup.
See, you don't even know what you're talking about, and you're not answering the question I asked. I asked, what was your model of creation, and why is it more?
Yeah, God. So God created.
Which God?
Humans.
Which God?
The Christian God. Christian God.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Christian God created humans. Go ahead.
Christian God created humans, created animals, created, it says, them of different kinds. And
sure. So how does that model explain that 90 some odd % of all the species that have ever lived have gone extinct? Why did the Christian God create a bunch of animals just for them to go extinct?
Yeah, that's a good point. I've actually heard that from Christopher Hitchens. I don't know how to argue with that one, Matt.
Well, see, so when you say that you have a model, a creation model that makes more sense to you than evolution, and I ask a question which is explained by the evolution model and not by yours, then clearly you don't have a model that is better than evolution. You just have one you like.
No. Well, when you refuted the points of what I brought about the laws of nature and all that, and when you refuted that, then obviously, I'm kind of left hanging, ain't I? I'm not going to argue with you and say that I have a better model.
I would like to say, in all honesty, I would never. I think, as far as I understand myself and all the knowledge that I have acquired, I would never personally consider myself qualified enough to call in and to argue that evolution is, for many different reasons, a better explanation than creation, for example, because I don't think I would have the means to, properly explain myself and to, make a case for that. In all honesty, I don't think that you are making a very good point for that either. In terms of simply having a little exchange and inquiry, I guess it's a good starting point. It's a nice approach if you want to be open-minded. And as far as I understand, you are open-minded. But I think this is a very complicated topic that would go into directions which you did not specify from the very beginning, and we won't be convinced.
Yeah, no, and I went off the track, Matt. And I know I've watched Matt's show. I know he's gonna, make me get to the point. My biggest argument was the laws of nature, and he refuted that because according to him and you guys, that even the evolution by itself can describe these laws of laws of nature and such. And when he asked me a question, if I have a better model than that, I have to simply say no. I would have to publish a paper. I would have to.
No.
Many things I'd have to do.
You don't have to publish a paper. It's just if you accept creationism over evolution, and you acknowledge that creationism is not a better model than evolution, why are you accepting the weaker of two models?
Well, I like I told you, I never said that it was for everybody. I said personally it was for me.
No, I'm sorry, Noah, but that's a cop-out, because the truth is the truth is the truth is the truth for everybody. when it comes to whether there was a creator or whether evolution, even if we recognize it's a false dichotomy, but it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as true for you when we're talking about facts in the world, other than, are you hungry right now type things. The facts of evolution, the facts of the diversity of life on Earth is not a personal truth. So you are accepting a model that you also acknowledge is an inferior model. And my question is, why are you willing to accept the inferior model?
I have one objection to it then. Can I bring it up?
I think we should really move on, but
one objection to what?
To you pressed me on it. So the second law of thermodynamics claims.
Oh my God, Noah! I swear I'm going to do this for your own good. We're hanging up now because you didn't go anywhere near my question, and I'm not going to let you pretend for a second that you understand anything about the second law of thermodynamics. One of the most obvious and bullshit young Earth creationist talking points ever. Okay, we're just not doing it.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you so much for calling in. And yeah, talk to you again.